Wow. So apparently, I'm one of the only people online that has a positive opinion of the movie Him. No, the movie is not perfect by a long shot, but Marlon Wayans and Tyreek Withers are tremendous in it, and it hits on a lot of themes that we would, yes, see in a typical sports movie, but it's pretty unique to see what a horror shade done over it here. Not going to be the best movie of the year, but I definitely enjoyed it. Tonight in movie reviews, we're talking Him. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Tonight in movie reviews, we are talking Him. Now, of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, no matter where you are tuning in to catch this review. We got a lot of great horror content up on the channel right now, and a lot of really good stuff coming up for all of you guys as well, too, that I'm going to talk about here at the end of the show. But let's not waste any more time and let's jump right on into things here. If you have not seen the trailer for Him before, this tells the story of aspiring professional football prospect Cameron Cade, who, after a tragic injury, is looking for any way to find himself another shot to play football professionally. When he gets a long shot chance to impress the GOAT of football, Isaiah White, Cam will find himself drawn into a world that he never expected, with gifts and results that he could never have dreamed or be terrified of. And there it is, folks. That is Him. Now, we have had stories like these in sports films for quite a while. Any Given Sunday, Bull Durham. There are millions of these out there where we're talking about the aging, not a GOAT, but like just the guy who has been the man for the longest time is aging, and the new hot young prospect is coming in to take their spot. And it's typically a story of these two people butting heads, and by the end of the movie having to learn from each other, as they do realize that they both have a lot to actually learn and they both have a lot to actually teach. And typically those kind of movies end with the person who is in that job going off into the sunset, maybe getting a last play or two that helps their team like either win the game or get in a good position. Then that rookie comes in and truly finishes things off. We've seen it a million times before, and that is the kind of story that we're getting here with Him as well too. But the thing we have to acknowledge with a lot of these sports films, though, is that the grand majority of these are going to give us a lot more on-field action. Whether it's baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever the case is, a good chunk of the runtime is actually dedicated to seeing the game play out. Him does not focus on that. So temper those expectations walking in. If you think you're going to come in and see a lot of football play being done, folks, you are better off putting on the Monday, Thursday, or Sunday games there so you can get your football fix for you here. You're not getting that here. If anything, this does feel more in line with films like The Program or Any Given Sunday, where we're looking more at what's happening behind the scenes. And of course, it's a much, much more personal tale because we're not talking all that much about contracts and money and trades and all these things. Like, yeah, those are definitely a part of the film for sure, but they don't play as big of a role in this as they do in a lot of those other films that are focused on like professional football or any other kind of sport out there. Professional football prospect Cameron Cade is trying to become the next GOAT. He has been watching tape of Isaiah White his entire life. He's been pushed by his father, by his mother, by his brother, by his girlfriend, by everybody around him to be the absolute best. He has worked hard for it. And after a freak occurrence where he's attacked and injured, everything seems to be taken away from him, but he gets a second shot in order to go do a personal workout with current quarterback of the San Antonio Saviors, Isaiah White. Now, if Cameron can impress Isaiah White, that's going to get him a shot at getting signed with the organization and potentially taking Isaiah's starting spot, or at least backing him up while he contemplates retirement. But as Cameron continues to train over the course of this week with Isaiah White, he begins to notice things around him aren't adding up. the pressure, the intensity, the violence is so much more than what he could have ever imagined. And when he starts to really understand what it truly does take to become the GOAT in a professional football league, is that ultimately what Cam really wants for himself, which will lead to a highly charged final showdown to determine who is ultimately going to be him. Now, as for the horror elements here, this is very much a psychological thriller more than anything else. There are most definitely horror aspects to it for sure, but I think a lot of people are going to walk into this expecting something very, very specifically pigeonholed into a horror lens. And folks, I don't know if that's really it at all. It's brutal, to say the very least there. And when we're talking about what these people would sacrifice to ultimately get what they want, it is terrifying. But at the same time though, I don't know if you're gonna walk out of this feeling like you just saw a horror film. And that's not a detractor here from this, because I still like a lot about what's going on here in this film. We're touching upon a lot of themes here, too many for me to hit all in this review. For example, being a Black professional sports player and how, especially in the football league, just to be good, you have to be great. You have likely heard that statement at some point in your life before here, and it's kind of crazy just to see here that is exactly what Isaiah White and Cameron here have had to do in their careers in order to keep on pushing their training. Every day, so many hours. They're going between a million different teammates. They're dealing with agents, family, friends, spouses, girlfriends, all these people who think that they have the best idea, the best outlook, the best intentions for their own life, and how they're not really given the tools to make those decisions for themselves. There's a million other people who get to make those decisions here. Things like dealing with injuries and how you should know to prioritize your own life, whether it is physical or mental, over this game that's going to be so short and fleeting. You know, we hear from Marlon Wayans, Isaiah White in this about how when it's all over, he is absolutely going to miss every single thing about the game, whether it's the smell of the locker room, the fans cheering, being on the field, the camaraderie, all of that there. But then we go back and we talk about all the injuries here that they have both been through at this point. And Isaiah starts making comparisons to Cameron, like, would you rather never get tired or would you rather never get injured? It just takes everything to an entirely different level. I think a lot of people who are deeply invested in both college and professional football can find a lot to like here in this film. As a horror fan though, or just as a movie fan in general though, you're gonna find it definitely lacking in spots. One of the biggest reasons here for it is the fact that the film just never kicks into high gear until the last 10 to 15 minutes of the film itself. For how intense that Marlon Wayans is in this film, and for how intense that Tyreek Withers starts to build as his character gets deeper and deeper entrenched into Isaiah White's life, for everything that's going on, it very much seems like the movie is building towards this powder keg of sorts to blow up. And it does. It does definitely do that at the end, but the problem is that the slight nods that we get throughout the film, they're just not enough. And I actually feel, if anything, it ends up hurting Tyreek Withers just a bit here, because he's great in this film. He was great in I Know What You Did Last Summer earlier this year as well too. And he is definitely the star of the film. But at the same time, they have him so subdued, which is very much a plot line that he's not letting the beast out. They have him so subdued that when it finally does come out, my God, we should have been getting a lot more of that throughout the film, which is not on him. It's the script, obviously, that calls for it, but man, they should have let him actually let that rage out a lot more here throughout the film, because those are some of the most interesting parts that go down here in this case. For the rest of the cast, Julia Fox is absolutely insane. She's insane, but she's great. I've been a big fan of her since Uncut Gems, and I love the fact that she keeps doing horror and suspense, because she's honestly really, really great in it. I love that there's a joke specifically calling her eyebrows out, because I couldn't stop looking at them throughout the entire movie, and I love the fact that they totally rip on her about it, which obviously is for the movie itself. Julia Fox is a very, very impressive woman, to say the very least now, but it just, hilarious. Jim Jeffries putting in a performance that I didn't know existed for this guy. You know, I most recently saw him hosting, what was it, The Snake, I think it is, over on Fox, like the reality TV show competition. I've seen some of his comedic work in the past here. He's really good in this. He is really, really good in this. And that's kind of funny because this movie, if anything, is giving us a lot of people who do great work doing comedy getting to do some serious work, and they're killing it. Jim Jeffries, Tim Heidecker coming back again, Marlon Wayans, who, let me tell you this right now, top 5 career performance for Marlon Wayans. Hands down, this is one of the best performances of his entire career. There is zero doubt that Marlon Wayans is hilarious, and he's been making us laugh for 30 years in a number of various projects, but he's only been given little work here and there over 30 years to give us something dramatic. And when he does it, he is always on his game with it. Obviously, there's Requiem for a Dream, but I would point out to people to check out his work on Fresh Prince recently, as that actually falls a little bit more in line here with what we see from Isaiah White in him. It is very, very much worth the watch there. Marlon Wayans is incredible. He should absolutely get some awards recognition from this. This is, like, for all the energy that we have seen him put on screen, whether it's Scary Movie, White Chicks, Little Man, whatever the case is, for all the energy that he's put out on screen, none of it matches the intensity that he brings here as Isaiah White. I don't know about the rest of you, but when he's asking Cam, what are you willing to give? I had to stifle myself really quickly because I was in that moment. There was like, Marlon, I'm going to do anything right now to make this team and impress your ass. I was thinking that there. And that is damn good work to invoke that kind of response out of me at a screening, which now I'm curious if anybody else felt the same way when he's yelling in Cam's face, if you had to like stop yourself from saying something as well too. He is so good in this, y'all. Ultimately, again, I think a lot of you are going to find this lacking because the film just does not kick into that third gear that we need until the last 10 to 15 minutes. And because of that, all the nods, all the teases to where you can figure out where the twist is very much leading to, and you can, if you're paying attention, it's so easy to pick that up. It becomes very apparent about 25 minutes in, I would say, honestly, not a bad thing. But I think the problem is that most people who are watching this would have liked something more overt and definitely more in the way of jump scares to be peppered throughout this film, and we just don't get that. You know, last night, and y'all saw it, I own up to it there, I gave the film a 4 out of 5. And sleeping on it, I very much realized that the reason why I gave it a 4 out of 5 is that one of those stars was specifically for Marlon Wayans. That this is a 3 out of 5 movie, but Marlon Wayans specifically gives it 1 star more. So I'm gonna keep it where it's at right now. I'm not changing where I currently have this graded here for y'all. I don't care what the other sites and other people out there are saying, because if you know, you know. If you're a fan of Marlon Wayans, if you're a fan of sports movies, there is so much in this to really, really enjoy. If you're not a fan of those two things there, this might be a bit lacking, to say the very least. But either way, at the end of the day, him gets a 4 out of 5. I don't care if there's an asterisk on it or not. Give my man Marlon his due, y'all. But as always, I want to hear what you have to say about this one in the comment section. Him opens up tonight. I am doing this on September 18th. It opens up tonight, so you're going to get a chance to see it sooner than later. Tell me what you thought about it, about Marlon's performance, about it kicking into third gear. All of those things you can let me know here in the comment section. And of course, get subscribed to my Linktree, which you can do at linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed, that'll give you access to the YouTube page for all the video versions of my reviews, news stories, everything coming out. You can get subscribed to my podcast pages so you can find the audio-only versions of all the videos I'm dropping for you guys. My Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year. My TikTok page for short horror content, including reviews, premieres, and news. To my Twitch page for horror gaming, including Phasmophobia. And my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of this, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button no matter where you are tuning in. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about Fede Alvarez not returning to the sequel to Alien Romulus. It's a big, big news story, which I feel has been going under the rug in the last week and a half here or so. But after a tremendous film back in 2024, he is not returning. And we're going to discuss one of the big rumors popping up for why that is tomorrow on the show. I got reviews coming out for Street Trash, the original Toxic Avenger, Night of the Reaper, The Long Walk. We're going to finish up Dexter Resurrection, and we still got more Alien Earth to get into. A lot of stuff coming up here over the next week or so here for all of you. But that is going to do it for me here tonight, folks. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.